With Diablo 2 Resurrected right around the corner, in fact at this point less than a month, strangely landing on my birthday, I wanted to take a moment to reflect on my thoughts about Diablo 2 and how it basically saved my life. You know, nostalgia's a funny beast. I think in some cases it's not even the product itself that's important, but the things happening in our lives at the time while we're experiencing it. If you ask me now, I would dead tell you that Diablo 2 is a masterpiece and one of the greatest gaming experiences that I've ever had, without any hesitation. That's just a fact, and anyone, including past Tiggles, is just completely wrong. I remember way back when I was but a young, pubescent Tiggles, I thought that I was going to be the next StarCraft Pro tier player.
Every day I get home, I just want to play. Oh, here I come, here I come, here I come, this is my final time. You wasn't expecting this, boy!
I lived and breathed StarCraft back then. Protoss for life! I remember at the time my best friend was playing Diablo, and he was adamant that I pick it up and give it a try. It took some time to convince my dad to fork over the cash, but eventually I had my hands on the game itself. The funny thing is that the first time I played this game, I just thought it was okay. I don't even know if I actually got past Act 2 that first time. This was, keep in mind, pre-Lord of Destruction. It wasn't long and I was back to slaughtering Zerg en masse. So let's go ahead and fast forward a few years later and my life changed a ton. Now, I don't want this to be a woe is me video or anything, but my childhood had some issues. Growing up, I lived with my father and he had a little bit of a problem with the stinky drinky. He was a bit worthless and abusive, but even though he had all these flaws, I still loved him. Needless to say, when I was 16, he finally let the flaws get the best of him and he passed away from this world. I was pretty broken at the time, and a few months later, his mother and my favorite grandmother also passed away. I think she kind of just gave up a little bit after his passing, and she quickly went downhill. It was one of the most depressing times in my entire life. I was having like these terrible nightmares and I was really just getting almost no sleep at the time. I dropped out of school, I replaced sports with gaming and snacks, and I gained like 150 pounds. It was just all in all a pretty terrible time. So at this point I'm pretty sure you're probably asking yourself, what does this actually have to do with Diablo 2? Well, after Dad's passing, I moved back in with my mother and sister, and a stepsister that at the time I didn't really know very well. And no, we didn't have the sex, I promise. But anyways, she was very much into Diablo 2 and would play it on my mom's PC when she was over visiting. And it was at this time that I decided to give the game another shot. Needless to say, I got addicted. I got so addicted. In fact, it's probably why I'm as fat as I am now. But at least I'm not into them hard droogs. Anyways, she introduced me to all of her friends, and me and her bonded over Diablo 2 pretty hard. Pretty soon, we had 2 PCs in the house so that we could actually play together. A lot of the friends that I actually met during this time, I still talk to this day. It's crazy when I think about it, but most of my reasons for really loving this game are tied to the good memories in my life and the things that it did for me personally, and not so much about the game itself. Diablo 2 is a great game though. The item system and the gameplay at the time were top notch. The world's interesting, and it always keeps you wanting to come back for more. It actually kind of cracks me up how a game that's actually so repetitive can bring so much joy to my life. The funnest parts of this game are replaying content that you've already played and hoping for a better item to drop. I think really that item system is the key to what makes this game so fun to play. So to answer my own question, what makes this game so nostalgic for me? I think it's that it reminds me of the days before I had the responsibilities that I have now, and just the fact of the heap of depression that it pulled me out of. With Resurrected around the corner, I really hope that I can relive even just a portion of these memories, and maybe that my own daughter can experience them as well. You guys should all take a minute and down in the comment section below, let me know exactly what makes Diablo 2 so nostalgic for you. I definitely would like to know. Also, while you're down there, smack that like button and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content. Anyways, guys, I just want to thank you for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.